Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and I'm flying solo still today. Mr. Adam Cousins, he's off saving the world. I don't know what he's doing. He thinks he's Batman or something. I don't know where he is. But we always say on this show that we love highlighting the people that are involved in the UK scene and in the industry. One thing we haven't delved into yet is referees. Without these unsung heroes, a lot of what we see probably wouldn't happen. So I'm pleased to say joining us on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast today is Mr. Scott Bell, referee. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I can be your first.
You are the first referee that we've had on the show to interview, Scott. But like we always say when we chat to people on these little get to know you shows,
yeah.
How did the love of wrestling, before we get into how on earth you put on the black and white stripes? How did the love of wrestling for you start, Scott?
For me, it started with my granddad. He used to tape back in the day.
You've gone old school already, mate.
Yeah, WF Superstars on Sky when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember.
So I remember he had a video of it all. I used to watch that on repeat all the time. And then sort of like, I went away from it for a bit, got really massively into Batman, started watching all Batman stuff, as you can probably see bits in the background.
Yes, great collection.
And then I got back into it like maybe 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So just in time for like WrestleMania 17, because WrestleMania 17 was like a major player in like how it came to be. Like, I just love wrestling, like just watching, the sheer mass of it. Really, it's the first show I did like since WrestleMania 3 in a big stadium. So it was just like the lights, the fireworks, the amount of people there, it just sort of caught my attention more. And then from then on, I started watching Raw every Thursday. Then I think it was on Sky Sports.
It was, yeah. We had to wait nearly a week to get it over here.
Yeah. I thought I'd try and stay up on a Monday night and watch it then, without my parents knowing. But then it would be sort of like from then on, I'd watch like Raw, and then I just sort of started buying WWF videos. And I think the first WWF video I bought was Best of Raw Volume 1 and 2. So I just watched that on repeat, and some of the shit on there, man, it was just like crazy. Like compared to what we had at the moment in time, like we're sort of heading towards the end of the Attitude Era. So I sort of missed like the first beginnings of it. So like watching like Stephanie McMahon get sacrificed in the middle of the ring and stuff. Yeah. Just like, what is this?
Austin had to come down and save her, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It caught my attention more because like it's not something you'd see on TV.
Can you imagine trying to get away with that now? Oh my god!
Oh, you wouldn't, would you?
All these TV network executives were having a heart attack if you'd done some of the stuff that went on in the Attitude.
Some of this stuff, oh god, actually, especially with like Miss Kitty and Sable and stuff.
Brian Pillman had a gun in his front room with Randy. Oh my god, yeah.
And giving birth to a hand.
Undertaker's kidnapping Stephanie in the back of a limousine. Yeah, you wouldn't get away with it now, mate.
Yeah, you wouldn't at all, would you? But yeah, it sort of stemmed from like 2001 onwards, and then I sort of like went off it maybe after 2010, but I still sort of kept like buying the video games and playing the video games, sort of keeping in a loop. And then when I got into wrestling, like refereeing wise, I sort of like went off wrestling. Weirdly, I don't watch it as much as I used to anymore. I keep up like highlights and stuff like that, or like just like.
It's hard, mate. There's so much now. It's Raw's 3 hours, SmackDown's 2 hours, AEW, Impact Wrestling, everything. You know, if you want to keep abreast of it, we try and cover as much as we can on here. If you might have tuned into our channel, mate, it's finding the time to watch everything now. God bless catch up though, because back in the day, like you say, if you didn't hit play and record, there wasn't this catch up TV or WWE Network. If you missed it, you missed it.
You'd have to watch the highlights on Sky One on a Saturday morning, wouldn't you?
They're all edited and crap. Yeah. chair shots. Do you remember when I remember when it was on Channel 4 for a little bit and pay-per-views used to cut off by they used to be like, right, yeah, the big breakfast needs to start now. So WWF needs to finish. And you're like, what the needs to cut out all blood and all chair shots.
All the chair shots, you see a shot of a crowd, wouldn't you? And it'd be like,
oh man, yeah, it is hard to keep up with all the content, Scott.
Yeah.
But it's good to hear how you pretty much like us all. We all grew up with when Sky eventually got involved in the industry, and we could all watch Raw and Nitro and everything. How did you get involved in wrestling yourself, Scott? Because most people, you know, they see wrestling on the TV, and every like wrestler that we've spoke to and we've interviewed promoters, we're very fortunate now. We've got to know a lot of the talent that travel around the UK. They're like, oh, I saw this on TV, or I just went to a wrestling school. Scott, what goes through your mind when you think, I want to be a referee?
Well, originally I wanted to be a wrestler, but I don't know if you've seen any of the matches. I'm only 5'4". So I make everyone look absolutely fucking humongous.
It'd be the UK's Rey Mysterio, mate. You know what I mean?
Well, this was my thinking, right? I thought I could be Rey Mysterio. Like a 619 was part of my repertoire, along with like the satellite DT, the head scissors, and all that shit. But I'd watched wrestling for years, and I've been to loads like live events. I've always loved that side of it, and I always wanted to give it a go. But I was never anything around at that time. Mm-hmm. Well, there was, but I didn't actually find out until like maybe 2 or 3 years later, after the original company set itself up. There's a company called NGW, which is based in Hull. Mm-hmm. So me and my mate, who's now wrestling as a guy called Benjamin Quill, we went to a wrestling show not nearby us, from our little town where we live, and we watched it. It was an NGW wrestling show. It was a Proving Ground show, and on the seats were these flyers, and it was saying like, if you want to be a wrestler, you know, we've got these on. We've got these training sessions on certain days. You know, come give it a go, sort of thing. So we both sort of looked at each other and thought, should we go give it a go? Because you know, we love wrestling. We want to see what it's all about. So we went there, gave it a go, and my God, that first bump you take, it absolutely kills.
Yeah, I can only add. And my co-host Adams told me he's taken a few. He went and tried it, and he was just like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, no. I ran the ropes briefly at Ignite when we hosted our show in the summer, just while I was in the ring before the show. I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm just going to stick with a microphone, thanks."
They hurt, don't they? Yeah. Even the ropes hurt. Like, even on a TV screen, it looks like with so much give and so much bounce in a wrestling ring, but it's completely the opposite.
Yeah. Every wrestling ring I've been in, and like my friends rib me all the time. They're like, "Oh, it's like a trampoline. It's padded." Doing what we do now, traveling around. I've been very fortunate to stand in a lot of wrestling rings. I'm like, no, this would fucking hurt if you fell on here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. It's all you. Oh, you know how to fall, and I'm like, no, this actually hurts for these guys and girls doing it. Man. Fucking hurts, mate. So fair play to you for even trying it.
Yeah, I mean, some rings are harder than others, and some rings are bouncing others. Like the one PW ring was like a trampoline, but it still had that like impact. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we did that, and then I was probably training to be a wrestler for about a year, and I thought it's probably not going to be for me in the long run, because there's always guys who are getting like pushed up to me, you know, advanced level, like a lot quicker than I am, and we're getting on shows quicker than I am. I'm like, I can't see myself being that guy in the middle of the ring wrestling. Mm-hmm. My physique isn't all there. My height is not there. I just don't look like a wrestler. So I pulled Matt Myers, which is one of my trainers, along with like Nathan Cruz. I pulled him to one side and said, "Look, I want to give refereeing a go. Do you reckon I'd be able to do it?" And he straight away said, "You're perfect because you're small."
You're in.
Exactly. So I was like, we'll give it a go for the next 3 training sessions. So I'll referee some training matches and stuff like that. And it's sort of like spitball from there, really. And I got my first gig through Matt Myers with a company called BWR, who it's basically my home promotion along with NGW at the moment. We're running out of Grimsby and Cleethorpes BWR. So I got my first match with that, and Matt Myers was actually my first match, which was quite a nice little moment for me. And then from then on, I just sort of like, I thought I could still be a part of it, just not getting hurt and taking as many bumps and all that side of it, and still sort of do my part with it. And we're past getting on 5 years in February, I think it will be, that I've been refereeing. So it's just sort of spitballed and carried on through, and the rest is history, really, from there.
I mean, like you say, we know quite a few people in the industry now, and we speak to referees. How hard is it though? Just like to get to know the nuances of being a referee in a ring, because
Mm.
most people see on the TV, they think, oh, they just count to three, they're counting to
Yeah.
10 when they're outside the ring. The hard, obviously, now we watch wrestling. You see, like in the WWE and the AEW, it's the referee that controls a lot of the match because they're on the
Yeah.
timing. They're told when to go home. That and you can see them
Mhm.
when they're checking on the wrestlers, when they're squeezing their hand.
Yeah.
This is all geeky shit that I look out for. I don't know why. I should really just be. But I've been watching wrestling since I was 5 years old. How hard is it, Scott, to learn all that and learn things like where to position yourself in a ring if a certain wrestler's doing, if you're getting whipped into the turnbuckle? How hard is that to grasp? Because people just think, oh, I'll be a wrestler. I'll count to three. I'll count to 10. Wow,
Yeah.
it is so much harder than it. Could you just explain to us how that all comes about?
Yeah, of course. It is so hard to get it. Like, I probably wouldn't say until I was probably about 2 years in, but I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, it's easy thinking I'm just going to go in there, count to 3, count to 10. It's so much more than that, and I didn't actually grasp the gravity of it until I got deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much need to look out for. It's like you say, we've got to count the right finishes, but I suppose if they don't get their shoulder up for that finish, we've got to treat it as a shoot 1, 2, 3, and it's on them if they don't get their shoulder up in time. We're there to do all the timings to make sure the shows run smoothly. So we're there trying to tell them to go home, and a lot of the time, like, no, you and just go over time anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're there. We're the first port of call in that ring if something goes wrong as well.
Yeah.
I've read it a few times where people have been injured, and you've got to think on your feet with it and be like, well, roll her up or roll him up and let's go straight for finish because you can't continue, or throw up the X and throw up the match completely. I like to say checking on the talent, especially like with stuff I do. Like I do a lot of death match stuff as well. There's a lot to that as well, and checking the talent. It's just like passing spots from one wrestler to another as well. If one person's forgotten a spot in a match, and the other person's reminding them, they've got to pass it for me to pass to them. So you've got to have. It's hard because we use earpieces quite a lot now.
Oh, okay, because a lot of some indie promotions can't have the earpiece. What's that like? So did you have someone not producing you in your ear? That's probably the wrong word, but just maybe guiding you along the match. Scott, 5 minutes left, do this kind of thing.
To start off with, I used to watch.
Right.
And it was a lot of times where I'd see myself on footage and I'd be like that, looking at the watch, and it'd be like, oh, fuck, that's so obvious. But I used to wear it on the inside of my hand. So I could literally be checking on a talent and look at and watch at the same time.
Yeah.
But other referees I've seen wear it on that side, and you can literally see them go, "Well, 3 minutes left." But you use the right words there with producing in your ear, because sometimes people are producing your ear. They're telling you to get the guys or girls to have a gear change up, which basically means like go for a hope spot or just change the pace of a match.
Mm-hmm. If
the crowd has started to die down, you'll have sometimes someone agent in a match. It happens a lot in like Progress and places like that where, we have a lot of agents for each match. An agent will basically go through a match with the people involved in the match and say, well, they're doing that in the match before you, so you can't do that, and just check everything, all finishes out the same sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll sometimes have them in your ear, tell them what spot's next or what's this and what's that. But mainly for us guys who are on circuit at the moment, it's basically just timings and areas.
Is that the hardest thing about it?
So it's hard to get used to the earpieces because I've seen a lot of like younger referees now just come this business way. You try and introduce them to earpieces, and then when you try and talk to them for earpiece, you can tell that they're trying to listen to you, but like not looking what's going on in the match. It's hard to get that. Can't think of a word.
Coordination.
Exactly, that coordination of having to listen and do other things at the same time. So it's hard in that respect of just trying to keep on track of things, because you can have other people in your ear saying, tell them to go do this, tell them to go do that.
Yeah.
So-and-so needs to do a promo straight after this match, tell them they need to say this and this and this and this and this.
Oh, wow.
So when you've got that in your ear and then the crowd in the other ear and music blaring out, it's so hard to engage in that.
Yeah. How hard is it to know where to position yourself in the ring? I mean, like you say, I'm a bit of a geek. I watch all this kind of thing when I go to wrestling and when I'm watching it on TV. And me and Adam were talking about it all the time. Did you see that spot the referee had to do? We're just geeks.
Yeah, yeah.
How hard is it for you when you're actually doing it, knowing where to position yourself so that you're still doing your quote unquote job, but you're
Yeah.
not in the way of the moves? Because it's such a it's a small sided ring.
Yeah.
Knowing where to be, and obviously you have to kind of know the nuances of the match. Of right, they're doing this spot there, that spot there. How hard is that for you to remember? And how do you, when you're learning it, how do you know where to be in a wrestling ring while the match is going on?
So when I was trained to be a wrestler, it helped me become a better referee. And when I was trained to be a referee, it helped me become a better wrestler.
Right.
Because it made me understand the different aspects of it. So me trained to be a wrestler, it made me think, well, that guy's going for suplex. So if he goes for a cover, his shoulder's going to be here. So I need to be around here. So it's just little bits like that where you think, if he's doing a certain move, you know where the shoulder's going up. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go for a cover because that's the end of a match, right? They're going to go for a pinfall. So the basics for refereeing, it's basically, we use a thing called a horseshoe. So say you've got your hard cam at the front here. Your horseshoe goes around the back of our hard cam. So basically, you're facing a hard cam at all times.
Yep.
So realistically, a referee should never cross a hard cam,
right?
Unless you can't help it for a few seconds, because the hard cam is the money shot. Apart from if you've got roaming cameras on the outside, so you should never really cross that unless you need to go for a pinfall, where the shoulders are towards a hard cam, and you're down for that split 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and you pop yourself back up again and get yourself back in a horseshoe. So it was hard trying to get that position at first, but once you get in that rhythm of doing it, say if in there in that corner, you make your way to that corner, and then vice versa. And then if they're in that corner and you can't get out of the way, you sort of like shimmy yourself around, but like turn yourself around at the same time. So when you're back in that corner, that makes sense. So you're always sort of sticking to the back of the ring, really.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's hard to try and get down. You'll see a lot with like newer referees who are just purely referee trained at the moment. I will say to anyone who's just referee trained at the moment, train to be a wrestler and learn the moves, because then you'll know where to be. I mean, I've had it a few times where I've been in a ring with a few green as grass guys, and the ring position is not as great as like people who have been in a ring like Osprey or any people like that, who they know where referees are at all times, sort of thing. And this guy basically suplexed this other guy into me because I was in this corner, and I was like, well, we're having a tug of war here, suplex wise. So my brain's going, well, he's going to take him that way into the middle of the ring. Well, no, this guy suplexed this other guy straight into me in the corner of the ring.
Oh, wow.
So I had nowhere to go. So it's things like that which do catch you off guard, which it's no fault of your own, because you're thinking, well, I need to be there because he's going to suplex him that way. But sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. But it's just watching and studying moves and just thinking I need to be around where the show's going to be if we're going to be a pinfall. Because you don't want to be right over near the feet and it's going to be a pinfall at shows, because the referee's job is to be around the shows and count that pin. You don't have to run all the way around and do a slide, and it just takes time.
Oh, I can imagine. What's the communication with the wrestlers like while you're in the ring? What kind of stuff do they say to you? Do they ask you how long left? Do they, again, I'm just interested to know, like, especially like when you're doing, maybe not when you're doing someone like a Will Ospreay, like say you've done Rev Pro, you've done all these big companies now, but what's that communication like from the talent to yourself during a match?
So I find it with like greener talent, we're asking a lot more questions than the people like your Ospreys and Robbie X's and people like that. A lot of them will ask how long's left because they're absolutely gassed and I want to go home. But like the talent of the other guys, it's like you say, like Nathan Cruz's, your Ospreys, your Eddie Kingston's, your other people I've refereed. But just sort of, it's very minimalistic. Apart from just passing certain messages like saying, go to this hope spot, go to that spot. You'll tell them the timings and they won't even acknowledge you. And it's just like, well, that's professional in a way because they've heard you, but they're still in the game. And other people sort of, you can tell the difference with people who haven't been doing it as long, so like nod at you and or like physically speak to you. Just like, kayfabe.
Kayfabe is dead. Was there a moment for you, Scott, where you might have had a favorite match and you've just you've taken a moment and you're like, oh my fucking God, I'm refereeing like a Will Ospreay or like you said, Eddie. What was the moment for you where you went, you know, and you said it yourself at the start of the show, you weren't ready to be a wrestler. But
Yeah.
doing what you do, it's as close as you're going to get. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've stood in a wrestling ring before a show. I can only imagine what it's like for you, especially when you're someone like a Rev Pro and you've got all these people there. What was the moment for you where you went, "Oh my fucking god"?
There's been a couple. I mean, like the first 1PW show, which like obviously it's defunct now, but like when it came back, it was such a brilliant experience to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had 2,000 people packed into a Doncaster Dome, and I was first out and just been stood in the middle of that ring while the intro was playing and the lights came up and the crowd was just fucking on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, I was looking around thinking this is the biggest venue that I've done.
Yeah.
Like a little kid from a market town in East Yorkshire is doing this shit, and it's just like, how did I get here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, match wise, I think it's got to be like Osprey versus Robbie X because the crowd was so hot for that.
He's a great talent. We love Robbie X on this show, man. He's a good dude.
But like for me personally, it's people that I've watched growing up. Mm-hmm. So when I was in a ring at Wrestle Carnival, and Scotty Too Hotty's music played, that was like a little kid in me, just like
you didn't start busting out the worm, did you?
It's like because yeah, exactly. People used to call me Scotty Too Hotty as a kid. So, you know, like wrestling and, you know, Scotty Too Hotty sort of thing.
Yeah.
The people used to call me that. And then, like, I went on to referee Rob Van Dam as well. Wow. So, as soon as that his music started playing, that was me transported back into 2003, 2005. Mm-hmm. And then Rhino as well.
Oh, wow.
Like, people like that who I've watched growing up and played on video games. And
you don't want to be in the wrong place when he hits his finisher.
Oh, no. I mean, secretly, I wanted to take his finisher. Because I don't know if you know this about it, but I'm quite renowned for taking bumps.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, I hope you're going to take a gore. I hope you're going to take a gore. And my original plan was for me to get inadvertently hit with a gore. Mm-hmm. But it turned out that it was a no DQ, so it wouldn't have really mattered anyway.
Yeah.
But I got hit with a chair shot by Ricky Haskins during the Rob Van Dam and Mark Haskins match. That was pretty cool to do. But yeah, just like moments like that, like, it just makes you think how lucky you are to be doing what you're doing.
Oh, it's incredible, mate. Do they approach you for the referee spots? You know, I mean, I've seen like countless of referee bumps throughout the years. How does that work? Do they just come up to you and go, "Hey, Scott, fancy taking a bump today?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." You know, hit you with a chair, or throw you through a table or something like that.
It is literally like that. Like especially if it's a main event, best bumps are naturally safe for a main event to build drama and create that drama of the main event spectacle. It's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and the main event is meant to showcase all of that. So basically, yeah. I mean, the chair shot, Ricky Haskins came to me like, "Are you okay taking a chair shot?" I was like, "I've never taken one before, but fuck yeah."
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then she was like going through emotions backstage. I was like, "Vic, just go for it."
Yeah. Just lay it in.
Fuck me. Did she ever? She twatted me. And I just felt like a sack of shit.
Oh my God.
But it's so weird because I fell in the corner and I had RVD just hovering above me and I just got covered in RVD sweat. It was like grim, but also like, this is pretty cool at the same time in a weird way.
My God, that's incredible. Anything funny happened in the ring, Scott, while you've been refereeing?
So this literally goes on from what I've just said about the chair shot. There was an unplanned bit in the RVD and Haskins match where basically Vic could get in the ring and Katie Forbes, RVD's missus, would get in the ring as well and have a bit of cat fight. And then RVD said that he's going to wake me up and get me down for the pin. Well, he gets his missus to wake me up, but she comes over, grabs my head, and sticks it in between her boobs and motorboats me.
It's a hard life being a ref, Scott. It's a hard life.
What is going on here? I got backstage and everyone was like, "You lucky bugger."
Yeah.
Funny wise, I mean, recently in the BWR match, it was a triple threat match with Bull Cruz, Miles Kane, and Ricky Knight Jr. I love working with Ricky Knight Jr. He's an absolute incredible talent. And basically, they had Miles up in the corner, like, you know, the gold dust spot.
Yeah.
But legs akimbo. And Ricky got hold of me and he said, "It's no DQ, right, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's triple threat." So he picks me up and gets Will to come pick me up, and I'm there like literally like that, and they're like, "Ooh, getting my card up and running," and just sent me straight into Miles Cayman's under region.
Nice. That's breast
I'm
and
like,
nuts.
"That was funny."
You've
But
covered it all, mate.
that was completely unplanned.
Oh my God.
So things like that, it makes the job fun, and I mean, it's good stuff. Like, but
Exactly.
got a good reaction.
Oh, unbelievable, mate. Scott, just finishing up, mate. What advice do you give to people that want to get involved in the industry? We ask wrestlers this all the time, and I've just been speaking to Sacrifice Pro, and they have like young wrestlers coming in all the time, and I suppose you get it now with referees as well. You like yourself, You're like, I wasn't cut out to being a wrestler, but I wouldn't mind giving a referee a go. I mean, I'm kind of delving into looking into like the commentary side of it and stuff like that. I'm really interested in that. But what advice do you give to people when they come to you and like want to get involved in the industry?
So find a reputable training school near yourselves. And like, if you want to be a referee, like James Greenwood's running a lot of referee classes at the moment, and I think he's started to travel around the country with it.
Oh, great.
Just get yourself to them, because Greenwood's one of the best in the country. I've learned a lot from James himself. Just find a reputable training school, reputable trainer, and just go from there. Learn your basics, and then think where you want to go from there. I'd always say give wrestling train to be a wrestler a go first.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not for you, because it's not for everyone, you can always find different parts, like say in commentary and refereeing and ring announcing. You can always be part of the show somehow.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's the advice I can give anyone, really. Just find that reputable trainer school, reputable trainer, and just give it a go. You never know where it'll lead to. I mean, look at me. I'm a perfect example of that. 5 years
mate, you're doing great things. You've had breasts, you've had nuts, and Rob Van Dam's sweat on your head. I mean, what more can a man want in life?
Exactly.
Scott, just tell our listeners, mate, where they can find you, what you've got coming up with the promotions that you're working with at the minute.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at RefSGB93. And then I've got mainly like BWR coming up. I've got the biggest show I've ever done coming up with NGW in Hull, which is live from it was the Bonus Arena, but it's now called the Connection Arena in Hull. So it's a massive arena in Hull, like my home city. So it's going to be a really big event for me to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's in December. Got Wrestle Carnival coming up at some point as well. So there's plenty going on.
Oh, well, mate, it's been great to get a little insight into what goes on when you're wearing the black and white stripes, mate. We wish you all the luck in the world, mate. Keep in touch with us. And the amount we're getting around the country, mate, we're sure to bump into you sooner or later, mate. But
yeah, definitely.
Keep up the good work, Scott, and I'll catch you down the road, bro.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Till next time, everybody, I've been your host, Andy Burrows. Buckle down. Stay safe.